7 steps to get started in your e-commerce business in 2021. If you like videos like this, do consider to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the notification bell. Every day we'll be launching new videos like this to help you to grow and scale your e-commerce business. So do you know that online businesses are flourishing and e-commerce is set to actually become a 476 billion market by 2024? If you want to have a pie of this e-commerce market, right, you can actually learn from these 7 steps on how to actually get started in this journey. All right, there's no better time to start selling online and turn your business idea into a lucrative reality. There's nothing more rewarding than starting a business from nothing and watching it grow. All right, so it's like a baby, right? You see how your baby actually grow out into an adult. So you build it up and no one can actually take it away from you. All right, and the process, right, doesn't have to be complex. All right, one thing I love about e-commerce business is that it's actually something that you can actually work at home, or even a business that you can work while you are traveling. So it doesn't just help you to make money, it also gives you that time freedom. All right. So today I'm going to share with you 7 simple steps which you can actually get started in your e-commerce business. All right, so let's look at step number 1. Step number 1 is to research on your e-commerce business model. All right, so when you begin your research, right, this is the first critical step. You don't want to be in a hurry, and you don't want to jump into the business right away, right? You want to be very clear on what kind of business you want to start. All right, so growing an online business is also an investment, right? You need to make sure that when you actually invest into something, you want to be very careful, right? There isn't a single business structure that works for everyone. All right, so there are a lot of business models that you can follow, which we are going to be going through later. But as a small business owner, right, you need to do some research to determine what works best for you. All right. So before you can decide on what to learn or what to sell online, you need to actually study what are the different business models out there. All right, so for example, if you are selling physical products, right, you should know where to source them, right? You can source these products either from China or any parts of the world, right? You can also create your own products from scratch, connect with a manufacturer, or even purchase wholesale goods that you can actually sell under your brand. All right, so you need to also look for a reliable manufacturer that actually produce very, very quality products. All right, and you need to test out the products yourself. All right, you need to see the track record of the manufacturer. You need to make sure that the manufacturer has all the license and certificates that you want. All right, so there's some research work that needs to be done before launching an e-commerce business. Launching an e-commerce business, in my opinion, is the easiest. All right, but the preparation work, the foundation work, to me, that's the most crucial. All right. Or you can also sell branded items within your e-commerce business, meaning that you are actually selling other people's products in your own e-commerce store. Okay. If you are selling digital products or services like webinars or software, you should have a general idea of who will be creating the product. Is it yourself? Is it a contractor? Or is it a business partner? All right, so if you already have a store location or plan to open one, another thing you need to consider is whether this brick and mortar store will fit into your e-commerce business. All right, you realize that some business, right, they will still want to set up physical retail store, all right, to actually enhance the customer experience. So you realize that most of the people actually don't buy products in the physical retail store, but they just go there and try out the products and actually go back and actually buy it online. So this is what we call the O2O experience, the offline to online shopping experience. So let's look at step number 2. All right, step number 2 is to start e-commerce niche research. All right, you want to know which niche you want to get started with. Okay, so one of the biggest mistake you can do is to fill your page with hundreds of products, dozens of categories, and no real focus. I see this is one of the very common mistakes that a lot of rookie e-commerce owners are making. All right, they just want to sell any products, and they thought that, hey, you know, by putting some products into my e-commerce store, magically I'll be able to make money. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so unless you have a massive budget, you can't be the next Best Buy or Amazon. All right, you have to niche down to run a profitable e-commerce store. All right, so I used to have a student that actually sell cooking products in his e-commerce store. And inside this store, right, he's also selling like beauty product. Can you imagine that if you are a consumer today and you go to the store, you see the store selling cooking utensils, at the side selling beauty products. Today, as a consumer, when you look at such a website, how would you feel? All right, most likely, most of us will feel confused. We'll feel that the store doesn't have credibility. All right, so for you to start an e-commerce business, right, for a start, right, I always encourage my students to actually be super focused on your niche, all right, and be the category king in that particular niche. All right, so choosing your niche is the most important step in opening your online business. All right, start this process by studying the successful companies already working in this space. All right, make sure that the area is not competitive. An absence of competition usually indicates that there might not be any market leader. All right, so don't pick an overly crowded niche. All right, so if you look at this niche and you realize that it's super competitive, don't go into it. Because if you don't have a new proposition, right, going into it, right, the next thing people will consider is actually looking at the price. And the last thing that you want to compete is just based on price, because that's where the margin will be razor thin. All right, unless you have something new, right, to propose into this niche, don't jump into this niche knowing that it's super competitive. But at the same time, don't go to the other extreme where you look at the market and you see that, hey, nobody's competing in the niche. All right, it also indicates that it might not have any business in this area as well. All right, so be very, very careful with that. So if you have trouble with this, right, drill down further on what you need to do. The more specific you are, the less competition you are likely to face. All right, so give your niche market, right, some specific parameters, all right, based on the demographics, like what is the age group, what is the income level, what's the location, what's the interest, what's the gender, etc., etc. All right, you need to be very, very focused who you want to serve. Right. One thing that I always share with my student is that today, if you are serving everybody, you are serving nobody. All right. So you want to be very focused on who you want to serve. There's also a great place to start thinking about some of the core elements of your brand. All right. So one thing that you want to do is you want to define your unique mission. All right. What is your vision? What is your mission? Who do you want to serve? The purpose of your company beyond selling. All right. And also the brand values and mission. All right, so what do I mean by that? One of the purpose of your company, when you talk about purpose of the company, one of the companies that I look up to is Tom Shoes, right? If you are buying one Tom shoe, they will actually give out one shoe to a kid in a poor country. All right, so that's something that is a very mission-driven kind of company. All right, so you want to make sure that whatever core values you have, right, it must be embedded into your business as well. All right, so that when people look at your brand, they are able to relate and they are able to buy your products. So anyone can sell what you sell, right? But what makes you stand out? All right, so you need to give your customers a way to connect with you deeply and a reason to continue choosing you beyond your pricing and your products. All right, so this is very, very critical. This is something that I teach in my class. All right, if you want to find out more, you can actually join my masterclass. This is something that I personally teach. All right, so step 3, let's look at validating your target market and your product ideas. All right, now that you have identified a niche and a business model, you might be tempted to start hunting for products to sell. All right, you need to be very careful with that. All right, so before you think about your product ideas, right, think about personas. You can't be expecting people to buy your product if you don't know who you are selling to. All right, who are you? What does the store represent? Who are the ideal customers? And you need to project a consistent brand image. Once you have identified the image, right, you want to project and the customer you are catering to, right, then now is the time for you to actually come up with your product ideas. So always be very clear on who you want to serve, all right, what problems you are solving before coming up with the product. All right, the product should be the last thing you want to focus. All right, start with one that actually requires less investment. All right, don't look at higher ticket product, look at smaller ticket product. All right, so it's something easier for you to start. And you can also experiment by engaging in affiliate marketing just to test out whether there's enough demand in this space. All right, before you invest in the product, all right, evaluate carefully, test the feasibility of the idea, and identify any potential problems and prepare customer service scripts to actually answer common questions. All right, so you want to foresee some of the common problems or some of the common questions that customers might face, and you want to be prepared. All right. So step number 4 is to register your e-commerce business and your brand name. All right, so before you start to set up your store and get into the nitty-gritty of your brand, right? There are some basic steps you need to take. All right, so the first one is to register your business. Choose a business name and register your company. All right, there are legal protections and tax benefits for incorporating, so don't skip it. All right, so pick your business name. All right, a great brand name serves 3 key purposes. It helps customers to find you, remember you, and get a taste of what your brand is all about. Make sure whatever you choose fits your niche. You don't want to pick a brand name at the last minute. All right, then also apply for business licenses and permit. Operating an online store does not exclude you from needing a certain business license and permits, depending on which country you are in. Okay, check with your city, country, and state to see what sort of sales tax licenses or business home licenses that you need, and you get those approved before you start operating. All right, based on where I am, right, in Singapore, if you want to start a small e-commerce store, you don't need to actually apply company license. You can actually start on the site. So when you actually build this up, right, as a proper business, that's where you can eventually start to actually apply to actually start your company. Because if you just start a company at the start without validating your idea, there are a lot of costs involved. All right, so you want to make sure that your idea is feasible before you actually apply for all these business license and permits. And of course, it's very, very critical to actually create your brand. All right, consider the colors of your brand, the imagery you use, and the typeface or fonts that you employ carefully. All right, design your logo. If you got a budget, you might want to hire a marketing firm to actually create a design brief for your company. If not, you can actually create your own. All right, one thing I always encourage my students is that you want to actually have a brand guidebook as well. All right, so that the designers, when they actually work on your e-commerce store or your brand, they have a guidebook, all right, to actually follow through. They know what kind of fonts to use, what kind of colors, what kind of colors to use, what's the tone, what's the brand tone, etc. All right, so that your whole branding in your e-commerce store is actually very, very consistent. All right, so let's look at step number 5. All right, you want to finalize your e-commerce business plan. So by now, right, you should have a great idea on what kind of business you like. All right, so you probably have a target market, a product niche, and even a brand name in mind. All right, so now is a good time, right, to actually step back and put your business plan on paper and determine your startup budget, your loan requirement, as well as your monthly expenses. The most important aspect of a business is the financial one. So you want to figure out your break-even point, both in unit sales and duration. All right, project your revenue and expenses. If you can't figure out your profit margin, right, you will fail. All right, one of the things that we always believe is that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. All right, it's very, very critical to plan out everything before you execute. The business planning phase is also when you want to iron out details like your staff, your product sourcing, your logistics, as well as your marketing budget. Make sure that you understand all these financial resources, right, that is available to you. Step number 6, that's where you actually create your online store. So once you are officially an e-commerce business owner, you need to actually register your domain name and any redirect URLs that might be relevant. Okay, so some of the platforms that you can actually buy your domain is at GoDaddy or even Namecheap. Okay, so now you need to set up your website on a platform. There are literally hundreds of e-commerce shopping carts platform. Choosing the right e-commerce software is also not easy. All right, so personally, I use ClickFunnels, if not Shopify. All right, so for those of you that wants to find out more, you can actually click the link below. All right, to find out more about these different platforms. So you also need to carefully evaluate things like the loading speed, the features, the compatibility with different payment gateways, compatibility with your business structure, your web developer skill, SEO friendly features, and much more. All right, in the past we used to spend like tens of thousands to actually hire like web designers, graphic designers to actually build an e-commerce store for us. But now it's super simple. You can actually leverage on platforms like ClickFunnels or even Shopify. All right, so these platforms have already done all this work for you. So even a beginner like yourself, you can actually leverage on all these platforms to start your e-commerce business. It's super easy to start an e-commerce business today. So once you decide on your e-commerce solution, right, don't hire a CRO expert, all right, or expensive development company. All right, just use a team. You might need to pay a small fee of like, let's say $100 or so to get a good template, depending on your shopping cart you choose and what they offer. All right, so what I usually recommend is that you don't spend thousands of dollars to actually hire all these expensive people or agency to actually start your e-commerce business. You can just start with a small fee, all right, to just kickstart if you are at a stage where you are bootstrapping. Okay, if you don't want to worry about taking credit card payments, you can sell your products online on marketplaces like Amazon, all right, or even like Lazada, Shopee, and many other platforms. All right, love the idea of owning your own digital real estate. Make sure that your e-commerce platform can actually scale with you and integrate with popular e-commerce marketplaces to actually increase your exposure. All right, so you use platforms like Shopify, they can actually integrate into Amazon very easily. So setting up your online store is much more than just adding products and content. You need to also get your email marketing and automation set up as well. All right, this is so important that before you even run traffic. All right, so you make sure that you have set up coupon and also thank you email so that your visitors can turn into shoppers. All right, sometimes when people visit your website, they might not buy immediately, but if you actually capture their detail, what you can do is you can actually build up a list. All right, so from this list, you can actually keep remarketing to them. All right, sharing with them what kind of promotions that you have, what are the new products that you have, and also share with them testimonials, reviews of people that have already used your products. All right, this is to actually nurture that lead to turn them eventually from a cold lead to a warm lead and eventually into hot lead, which is your raving customers. All right, so step number 7 is attracting customers to your e-commerce store. All right, so even after you build your business, right, there's no guarantee that customers will come. You need to market your store. All right, e-commerce business is not just about putting your products into the store and hoping and praying that people will come. All right, you need to actually drive quality leads into your store. All right, so there are many different ways of driving traffic to your store. All right, so you need to think about what are the ways, all right, to actually drive traffic to your store. It could be organic methods, it could be paid methods. All right, so today we are talking about organic method, which is search engine optimization. All right, so you need to keep keywords and search terms in mind, right, on each page of your site. All right, so in the URLs and in your ad campaigns as well. So if there are certain keywords that usually people search for to buy the products on your e-commerce store, you want to actually place all these keywords as many as possible, as strategically as possible. So you need to make decisions such as, will you use sponsored content, social media, pay-per-click ads, or a combination of strategies? How will you monitor what campaigns are driving traffic to your store? If marketing your site seems overwhelming, right, will you hire help? So you can also offer bloggers in your niche and give them a free sample, right? This is what we call influencer marketing in exchange of reviews. Running a giveaway is also a go-to marketing tactic to actually get traffic and subscribers very quickly. You can also send coupons and content via email to help your brand to be on their mind, to boost sales and to establish credibility. Okay, so keep your emails interesting. Ask your customers input often, including reviews. Also send them your new blogs. It's also very important to have a mixture of content and not just bombarding them with sales offer, right? Sometimes if you are selling all the time, all right, your customers might unsubscribe from your list. All right, so you want to have a mixture of value where you actually build interesting content and then ask for sale. All right, so every time you actually build good content, goodwill, you're actually giving goodwill to your customers. All right, so also remember to respond quickly to your customer service and product quality issues and work on building relationships. All right, so let's summarize on these 7 steps. Step number 1 is to research e-commerce business model. Step number 2 is to start your e-commerce niche research. Step number 3, we look at validating your target market and product ideas. Step number 4 is to register your e-commerce business and brand name. Step number 5 is to finalize your e-commerce business plan. Step number 6 is to create your online store. And step number 7 is attracting customers to your e-commerce store. So I'm sure by learning these 7 steps, right, you have a good idea of how to actually start an e-commerce store. All right. So running an e-commerce store, right, doesn't have to be a struggle or even to actually pay a lot of money. So if you really take time to actually go through this video, it will actually save you a tons of hours of work, right? So I really hope that you enjoy this video. I hope that you learn something. If I miss anything and you'd like to see all these things covered, right, do comment below. All right, comment in the video comment section below so that I know what are some of the topics that you're interested in. I can go in depth. All right, and I hope that you learned something from this video. All right, so many of you have been asking me, hey Jonathan, how do I continue to work with you, or how do I get mentored by you personally? So if you are interested to be mentored by me personally, what you can do is you can actually fill up the application form in the link below, and you have to actually go through an interview. So we want to get to know you better, and if we are confident to actually help you to get results, then we will take you in as a private client. All right, so I hope to see you in the next video.